What if every year of your life could be traded, stolen, or sold? Episode 8 of Paradise flips everything we thought we knew. Characters we trusted have betrayed us, truths we believed were shattered. And the ending, it leaves us with one question. Did anyone truly win? Let's break it all down. Episode 8 picks up in the middle of chaos. Elena is on the run, Victor is desperate. AEON, the biotech giant that buys and sells people's ears, is cracking under pressure. At this point in the series, almost every character has blood on their hands, either literally or metaphorically, and episode 8 doesn't waste time throwing us into the fallout. Elena is no longer the innocent we met in episode 1. After everything she's been through, losing years, being manipulated, hunted, she's done playing the victim. In episode 8, she becomes the hunter. Her journey leads her to the heart of AEON's secret lab, where we learn the truth behind the illegal time transactions. Turns out, it's worse than we thought. They're not just taking years from willing donors, they're forcibly extracting time from vulnerable people, many of whom never gave consent. Meanwhile, Victor faces a dilemma. As the former face of AEON's public image, he's been complicit in everything. But now, with evidence of AEON's crimes piling up and Elena's determination threatening to expose it all, he's forced to choose, protect the system that made him rich or finally do the right thing. There's a powerful moment midway through the episode when Victor walks into a private server room filled with data on every person AEON has ever stolen time from. He sees names he knows, including his own daughter. That's when it hits him. He's been part of something monstrous. This moment becomes the emotional turning point of the episode. For the first time, Victor feels human. The rest of episode 8 moves fast. AEON sends their enforcers to capture Elena before she leaks the data. There's a tense sequence through the city's underbelly where she dodges surveillance and betrayal. One of her allies turns on her, and it's someone we trusted. This betrayal doesn't just hurt Elena, it hurts the audience because it proves once again that no one in Paradise is clean. By the final scenes, Elena manages to upload part of the stolen data to the public web. Not everything, but just enough to start a wave. We see headlines exploding, protests in the street, people learning that the years they lost weren't donated, they were stolen. And then comes the cliffhanger. ENCO, who's been mostly in the shadows all season, is shown watching the fallout on a massive screen. She doesn't panic, she smiles, and says they played their part. Now it's our move. That one line turns everything upside down. Was this part of their plan all along? Was Elena just a pawn? That's where the episode ends. In the next section, we'll dive deep into that ending scene, what it really means, and the clues hidden in the dialogue and cinematography. Because this isn't just a cliffhanger, it might be the beginning of something much, much bigger. When the CEO of AEON smiles at the end and calmly watches Elena leak their crimes, it's not the reaction of someone who just lost everything. It's the reaction of someone who's 10 steps ahead. And that's where the real twist lies. Everything we saw, from Victor's betrayal to Elena's rebellion, might not have been a disruption to AEON. It might have been part of their strategy. At first glance, the ending looks like a win for the underdogs. Elena gets the stolen data out into the world. People are waking up to the truth. Victor finally sides with justice. The protests begin. The system is shaking. It's the classic structure of a rebellion story. The hero fights the big evil company and exposes the truth. But then the tone changes. That final scene flips the meaning upside down. Let's look at how it's shown. The lighting is colder. The camera pulls back, revealing a much larger operation behind the AEON offices than we've ever seen before. There are screens showing data flows, surveillance footage, and news headlines, all being tracked in real time. The CEO walks into the room calmly, almost amused. She watches the chaos unfold on the streets, but she doesn't react with fear. Instead, she says they played their part. Now it's our move. Asterisk, that line tells us something massive. Ian knew. Or worse, Ian planned this. Asterisk was Elena upon all along. Asterisk, here's where things get deeper. What if Ian wanted Elena to leak the data? What if the files she accessed weren't the full truth, but a curated leak meant to distract the public while AEON moves on to the next phase? This is a classic move. In real-world politics and media, let a small truth leak. Let people feel like they won. And meanwhile, you're hiding something much more dangerous behind the scenes. Asterisk, remember, earlier in the episode, Elena broke into AEON's secret lab. But think about how easily she got in. A company like AEON with this much power, money, and technology wouldn't leave their most important server room guarded by just a few men. It almost felt too easy. Suspiciously easy. This could mean they allowed her in. They may have even wanted her to find that data, knowing it would spark public outrage. Asterisk, why? Because public outrage can be controlled. When people are angry, they're easy to manipulate. Ian might have sacrificed a few executives, shut down a few programs, and appeared to clean house, all while shifting their operations into a new, hidden system. Maybe this leak was just a distraction. Maybe the real plan was something else entirely. Asterisk, Victor's redemption arc, real or engineered. Asterisk, let's talk about Victor for a moment. He's the most complex character in this entire show. A man who built AEON's public image, who literally sold people the idea that giving up your years was noble. He's charming, persuasive, but also cold and distant. Asterisk, in episode 8, Victor has his turning point. He realizes his own daughter was part of the experiment. This pushes him to help Elena. He disables security, leaks passwords, and confronts AEON. Leadership, on the surface, this looks like redemption. But ask yourself, would Ian really let their top spokesperson go rogue so easily? Asterisk, what if Victor's redemption was staged? What if he was given just enough truth to break down, act out, and help Elena, all while being monitored? If this was all part of AEON's script, then Victor was just another tool. He thought he was saving his daughter. In reality, he was moving her into the next phase of the program. Asterisk, this brings us to another chilling theory. Victor's daughter isn't just a victim. She might be a prototype for something new. Asterisk, what's hiding behind the curtain? Asterisk, so what could AEON's next move be? The ending hints at something much darker than stealing years. We see one brief but disturbing shot. A body in a stasis pod connected to machines with data being transferred wirelessly. This isn't just about aging anymore. It's about consciousness. Asterisk, if AEON has found a way to not just transfer time, but also transfer memories, personalities, or even entire minds, then everything we saw in Season 1 was just the beginning. That would explain why they were okay with the time leak scandal. Time selling is old news now. The real profit is in selling identity. Imagine the power in offering rich clients not just more years, but entirely new bodies, or worse, uploading their minds into younger hosts. Asterisk, this idea isn't directly stated in episode 8, but it's hinted at subtly. There's a moment when one of AEON's scientists tells Victor, "We've outgrown time. What we need now is permanence." That one line suggests Ian isn't trying to extend life. They're trying to escape death entirely. Asterisk, Elena's decision, brave or foolish? Asterisk, Elena's final choice to go public with the data is the climax of her journey. She's been hunted, betrayed, broken, but she fights back. And yet, it's a bitter victory, because the second she hits upload, she becomes disposable. Her role is finished. Asterisk, you'll notice in the last 10 minutes, Elena isn't treated like a hero by the people around her. Her allies are distant. The people on the street chant for justice, but they don't even know her name. She's already fading from the story, and that's the real tragedy of her arc. She wasn't the leader of a revolution. She was the match used to light the fire. Asterisk, let's talk about that last visual. The CEO standing in front of a giant screen, showing a map of the world with glowing red dots appearing across multiple countries. These dots aren't labeled, but we can guess what they mean. They're not just news alerts, they're active operations. AEON is going global, while the public looks at their crimes, AEON is spreading. Asterisk, that visual alone tells us this story is far from over. Season 1 ends not with resolution, but escalation. Asterisk, summary of key takeaways. Asterisk, the ending seems like a victory, but may have been planned by AEON. Asterisk, Elena could have been manipulated into leaking only part of the truth. Asterisk, Victor's redemption might not be authentic or may have been orchestrated. Asterisk, AEON's goals are shifting from time extraction to something far more advanced, possibly consciousness transfer or digital immortality. Asterisk, the story doesn't end, it evolves into a much larger threat. Asterisk, the genius of Paradise is that it tells a small, personal story inside a massive machine. The finale opens our eyes to how big this world really is. What felt like a rebellion now feels like a test. And we, the viewers, are left questioning everything we thought we understood. Asterisk, next up, we'll go even deeper into the world of Paradise by looking at the themes that have been building from the first episode: control, morality, sacrifice, and what it means to be alive when time becomes currency. Asterisk. From the very first episode of Paradise, the story asks a chilling question. What would you give up to survive? In this world, time isn't just a number. It's currency, control, and punishment. Episode 8 doesn't just close a chapter of the story, it ties together a web of ideas that have been building since the beginning. Now that the dust has settled, it's time to ask, what is Paradise really about? Asterisk, let's unpack the layered themes of this story, the hidden messages about identity, morality, sacrifice, and power. Because Paradise isn't just science fiction. It's a mirror held up to our world, asking hard questions about the value of life, the price of privilege, and what it means to be truly free. Asterisk, the most obvious theme of Paradise is the idea of time as a literal currency. On the surface, it's a clever sci-fi concept. You can sell years of your life to others. But the show takes that concept deeper by showing how time becomes a tool of power. In the world of AEON, time is not just something people trade, it's something they're robbed of. Asterisk, from poor families selling decades to survive, to prisoners having their time forcibly taken as punishment, the system turns life itself into a transaction. The rich live longer and look younger, while the poor age overnight and die early. Episode 8 reinforces this by revealing that AEON's most loyal customers aren't just buying time, they're stealing it, often without the victims even knowing. Asterisk, this is where the weaponization of time becomes most clear. AEON doesn't just offer a service, they sell control. And nothing makes people more obedient than the threat of losing years off their life. Asterisk, in today's world, we talk about economic inequality, systemic exploitation, and how the wealthy benefit from systems built to keep others down. Paradise turns that into something literal. The poor lose time, the rich gain it. It's not just social commentary. It's a warning. Asterisk, another major theme that becomes clearer in episode 8 is the connection between time and identity. What makes you as who we are? Is it our memories, our experiences, or the time we've lived? Asterisk, when someone loses 20 years in this world, it's not just about wrinkles and back pain. They lose the chance to grow, to learn, to evolve. People robbed of time are also robbed of potential. And that becomes terrifying when AEON starts experimenting with memory, personality, and, as hinted, even consciousness. Asterisk, we see glimpses of this in the underground labs. Patients whose minds are scrambled, people who remember things they never lived. There's even one line from a technician saying her body is 25, but her mind is still 12. That isn't just body horror. That's a philosophical Nightmare * episode 8 leans into this when Elena looks at a mirror and touches her face, aged prematurely after losing years. You can see it in her eyes. She's not just older. She's someone else now, and maybe that's the cruelest part of the whole system. It doesn't just steal time, it reshapes who you are. This is especially relevant in a world like ours, where memory loss, mental illness, and identity crises are real and painful. Paradise takes those real fears and amplifies them through its futuristic lens. From the start, Paradise presents its characters with choices: take the deal or walk away. Trade your years or lose your home. Upload the data or protect your safety. But by episode 8, it's clear there was never any real choice. Elena never had a safe option. Victor was never fully in control. Even the public protests at the end feel hollow, manipulated by AEON's carefully planted leaks. The characters think they are deciding their paths, but the system is always 2 steps ahead. This is one of the more subtle but powerful themes in the series: free will under capitalism. In theory, everyone has a choice, but when the system is built to trap you, are your decisions really your own? This shows most clearly in the arc of the elderly couple in episode 6, 2 people who willingly donate their last 10 years so their grandson can afford a future. It feels noble, selfless, but it's also tragic. They made a choice only because the system left them none. And Paradise asks us to think about how often that happens in the real world. Episode 8 reinforces this by showing that even rebellion is sometimes controlled. Ian lets the truth leak. The CEO smiles. The data drop wasn't a disaster. It was a distraction. A new layer of the illusion. Another thread that runs through episode 8 is the question of justice. Elena wants justice. She wants to expose. Ian, destroy the system. Free the victims. But as the episode progresses, her actions become more personal. When she tortures an Ian scientist for information, it's no longer about truth, it's about pain. When she chooses to risk public safety to upload the data, it's no longer about helping, it's about winning. This shift in her character reflects a deeper question. When you've been wronged, what does justice actually look like? Is it fairness, or is it revenge? Paradise doesn't offer easy answers. Victor's version of justice is admitting guilt and trying to fix things. But is that enough after so much damage? Elena's version is exposure and destruction, but at what cost? And AEON's version is control. They think by organizing time, they're creating order, not evil. By the end of episode 8, we see that no one walks away clean. Justice, in this world, is a story people tell themselves. The system doesn't care about justice, it only cares about survival. Power, privilege, and systems that don't break. Finally, the most important theme of all, systems don't die easily. You can expose them, you can fight them, but real power doesn't panic. It adapts. AEON is the perfect symbol of modern institutions that seem too big to fall: corporations, governments, tech empires. When faced with scandal, they don't collapse. They restructure, they pivot, they sacrifice a few pawns and keep moving. In episode 8, the system takes a hit, a major one. People know the truth. They're angry. But AEON is already working on the next version, a global network, a new plan. The red dots on the map in the final shot aren't warnings. They're seeds. The real message: Paradise is not just a place. It's an idea, a promise of perfection sold by those who control the definition. And those in power are always prepared for the next chapter. Paradise is more than just a dystopian thriller. It's a carefully built metaphor for everything we fear about the future and everything we should be questioning about the present. Episode 8 ties together. How time can be stolen. How identity can be manipulated. How choice can be an illusion. How Justice can be twisted asterisk, and how power never sleeps asterisk as we move towards season 2. These themes aren't just background details. They're warnings. They're signals. And if the final episode taught us anything, it's this. There's a strange moment after Paradise episode 8 ends. It's quiet, too quiet. You're left staring at the screen, not fully sure what just happened. That's not a glitch, that's the show speaking through silence. It's telling you this story isn't over. You just stopped watching asterisk because the final episode doesn't wrap things up neatly. It fractures them, splits the truth wide open, and leaves you with more questions than answers. And the deeper you look, the more those questions start to feel dangerous, not just about the characters, but about the system, about what's next, about us. Asterisk, let's dig into the biggest mysteries that Paradise leaves unsolved. And let's ask the uncomfortable question. Were we ever supposed to understand it all? Or were we just meant to obey like everyone else in the system? Asterisk, if season 1 asks, what would you give to survive? Then season 2 will ask something harder. Asterisk, what if you didn't know you were part of the system? Asterisk, imagine a world where the characters start discovering you, the viewer, are connected to AEON, maybe through data, maybe through biometric tracking. Maybe the system is using our attention, the fact that we watch, as a form of consent. Asterisk, that would be the boldest twist of all, turning Paradise into a meta-narrative about surveillance, entertainment, and complicity. Asterisk, Paradise was never just about a sci-fi future. It was always a metaphor for the present. A world where time is money, privacy is fiction, and the poor are punished for living too long. Asterisk, season 2 has the potential to go darker, deeper, and more dangerous. Not just with its plot, but with its message. The theories we've discussed today, mind uploads, global rebellions, false identities, synthetic leaders, aren't just fiction anymore. They're projections, shadows of a world that's already half built around us. Asterisk, so when season 2 begins, remember this. Asterisk, you're not just watching the story unfold. Asterisk, you're part of it. Asterisk, asterisk.